Hello and welcome to German Lessons with Mr. Ferguson. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Deutschunterricht mit Herrn Ferguson. Diese dritte grammatische Stunde, this third grammar lesson, ist der Accusative, the Accusative Case. Before wir anfangen, please remember to like this video, bitte klickt Gefällt mir, and to subscribe to my channel, so that I can keep helping you with your German. Bitte vergesst nicht zu abonnieren. If you're enjoying my videos, please consider buying me a coffee by clicking the banner now. All contributions are gratefully received and allow me to continue to bring you new and exciting German content whilst keeping it free to access on YouTube. Thank you to those of you who've already contributed. It's very much appreciated. Vielen Dank. If you're not sure what the case system in German is and you don't know how the nominative case works, or if you need a recap of what a definite or indefinite article is, start by watching the second video in this grammar playlist, which is about the nominative case, by clicking here. The four cases in German are called nominative, accusative, dative and genitive. This lesson will focus on the accusative case. In the nominative case, the definite articles in German are der for masculine nouns, die for feminine nouns, das for neuter nouns, die for plural nouns. And the indefinite articles are ein for masculine nouns, eine for feminine nouns, ein for neuter nouns, and keine for plural nouns. And the accusative case only forces one change. The change happens with masculine nouns. Der would become den, while die, das and die all stay the same. And ein becomes einen, while eine, ein and keine all stay the same. We use the accusative case with something called the direct object of a sentence, which is the thing in the sentence that is having the verb done to it. For example, the dog ate the meat. The dog is doing the eating, so the dog is the subject, and the meat is what's being eaten, so that's the direct object. My best friend Karen is tall. My best friend Karen is the one being, so my best friend Karen is the subject, and in this sentence there's no direct object, so we wouldn't use the accusative case. 3 annoying children stole my football. 3 annoying children are the ones that stole, so they're the subject, and my football is what was stolen, so my football is the direct object. In German, these direct objects would be das Fleisch, accusative neuter, and meinen Fußball, accusative masculine. Have a look at these English sentences and think about what the direct objects would be. You can pause the video if you need longer. My older sister's best friend's dog's previous owner's brother's colleague used to steal all our milk. I like cereal. In the first, quite ridiculous sentence, the direct object is the thing that used to be stolen, i.e. all our milk. In the second, more normal sentence, the direct object is what's being liked, i.e. cereal. This is the most common way to encounter the accusative case. But it can also be triggered. That means that when you use a special word, you have to use the accusative case afterwards. These special words are called prepositions, and they have specific meanings. For the accusative case, we use the acronym fudgebow. You can think of it as you accuse somebody of shooting you with the fudgebow. Fudgebow stands for für, which means for example, für meinen Bruder, for my brother, which means about, around, or at in terms of time. For example, die Stadt, around the town, 8 Uhr, at 8 o'clock. Durch, meaning through, for example, durch die Stadt, through the town. Gegen, meaning against, for example, gegen die Wand, against the wall. Entlang, meaning along. This is called a postposition, so it comes after the noun. For example, die Straße entlang, along the street. Bis, meaning until or up to. For example, bis die Ampel, up to the traffic light. Bis Montag, until Monday. Ohne, meaning without. For example, ohne das Auto, without the car. And wieder, meaning against. But this is a very old-fashioned word and will not come up very often. You're better off using gegen. The only reason I include this is so that the fudgebow analogy will work properly. After any of these prepositions, and before entlang, we would use the accusative case. There is one more group of prepositions which are called Wechselpräpositionen, or dual prepositions, which can take either the accusative or the dative case, depending on context. And I will discuss these in more detail in the fourth grammar lesson of this series when we talk about the dative case. But in summary, these prepositions are in, which means in, an, which means on a vertical surface, auf, which means on a horizontal surface, hinter, meaning behind, unter, meaning under, über, meaning above or over, vor, meaning in front of, zwischen, meaning between, and neben, meaning next to. If there's movement from one place to another, for example, going into somewhere or putting an object onto something else, we will use the accusative. The most common preposition used here is in, and when combined with the accusative, this means into. For example, in den Park, into the park. In das Kino, into the cinema. This can also be shortened to ins, and you can use this with other neuter nouns. For example, ins Fitnessstudio, to the gym. In this sense, can also mean to. So ins Kino can also mean to the cinema. The final thing you need to know about the accusative case is that the pronouns I, you, he, she, etc. change. And this happens in English too. When I am the subject, I say I. For example, I can see you. When I'm the direct object, I say you can see me, not you can see I. And this is the accusative case working. In English, we have me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. And in German, the nominative pronouns that we've already learned, ich, du, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie, and sie, would change. Ich becomes mich, du becomes dich, becomes ihn, sie stays as sie, and es stays as es, because only the masculine is affected by the accusative case, as we discussed earlier. Wir becomes uns, ihr becomes euch, sie stays as sie, and sie stays as sie. For example, I love you is ich liebe dich, not ich liebe du. You love me, du liebst mich, not du liebst ich. I love him, ich liebe ihn, not ich liebe er. I love her, ich liebe sie, because sie doesn't change. This last sentence, ich liebe sie, could also mean I love them, because that sie doesn't change either. So we figure out the meaning from context. For example, if I said, I have had a girlfriend for 3 years and ich liebe sie, we should be able to figure out that it's and I love her. If I said, every day I see my friends and ich liebe sie, we should be able to figure out that it's and I love them. So that's a brief summary of the accusative case. It's a little more confusing than the nominative case, but think in English in terms of me, him and her rather than I, he and she, and you'll start to get an idea of how it works. It's a good idea to pause the video now to recap how the articles change from the nominative to the accusative case, what's meant by the direct object of a verb, which prepositions trigger the accusative, and how the pronouns change in the accusative. Habe ich etwas vergessen? If you're a native German speaker and you think I've left out some important information about the accusative case, der Akkusativ or den Wir-in-Fall, please write a comment below. Bitte schreibt einen Kommentar. Also, please remember to click subscribe to receive all of my German lesson videos, language learning tips and updates. You can also follow me on Instagram with the username Herr Ferguson and on Twitter under @Herr Ferguson. Otherwise, from me, it's Danke und auf Wiedersehen.